Hey everybody, welcome back to another day of the daily videos on Engage and how it comes out. I'm just again trying to break Engage into smaller, more digestible series of information so that when the game actually comes out, things make a little bit of sense. And then, it's also just kind of nice to talk about it every now and then for the hype, but awesome ads. They're not going to pay me either. Two people are going to see this, they don't need to pay me. So the Dragon Child is the class of the main character, Alir, your avatar. Dragon Child uses swords. It promotes into Divine Dragon. Wow, this is a really nice little neat setup. I appreciate them for that. The battle style called Dragon Unit. That's the one that basically whatever emblem you engage with has some sort of benefit or special skill for you. Alright. Divine Dragon uses swords, but also body arts. I'm so surprised that you're not using Dragon Stones or Dragon's Breath in this one. But this game doesn't have Legues or Beast Stones, transforming units. Even the dragons who we see Lumiere do that. I think she's shifting to another class that we might use at the end of the game. Maybe we can engage with ourselves. We know if you engage with Tiki, you turn into a dragon. Maybe Alir can engage with themselves by the end. Maybe Alir becomes an emblem ring. I don't know. I feel like there's going to be dragons somehow connected to the Dragon Child. But for the most part, when it says dragon, it is talking about your type of unit. You're not like a literal dragon yet. Anyway, sword and body arts. Alfred is the noble that uses a lance, a cavalry unit, but he promotes to Avenir. Celine is noble, same class as him, but she uses tomes and swords and promotes to Vidame. So basically, Avenir uses lances and swords. Vidame gets tome, swords, and staves. So, even though lords have the same starting class as their sibling, their promotion is wholly unique to them. And that means all 8 of the lords, well, 9 if you include yourself as Alir, have unique classes. Technically, Divine Dragon is shared with Lumiere, who maybe will be playable. We really don't know. I could see her being playable in like a New Game Plus run. The reason she has a class right now is because she seems to be like the tutorial boss. Maybe when you just wake up, she's like, hey, let's have a training fight or whatever. Or fight in your dream, whatever it is. She's like the tutorial boss, I believe. So, as of now, there's no real reason for her to be playable, but it's possible they do that. Everyone wanted Geralt to be playable too, you know? Alright. So this is really cool. All the nobles getting their own personal class is pretty neat. It makes them special. But, alright, so Diamant and Alchrist use the Lord class. But Diamant is the Sword Lord. We always need one. He's a backup infantry type. And his class is Successor. Successor uses swords and axes, which is kind of like the hero class. But my guess is that hero is going to be kind of sword focused and Successor is going to be blade focused, just because we do see Diamant using blades and he's got the body of it, like the big build. He looks a lot like Ike, and Ike also uses swords and axes. So I could see Diamant being kind of an Ike analog character, probably going to be pretty popular just for that, if nothing else. But I think he's going to be our Blade Lord. And then Alchrist uses the bow and becomes the Tour d'Elite. He uses bows. He's a sniper. He's a covert infantry type in both classes. So his stats are going to go up. He's going to get probably a personal skill, but he doesn't get a new weapon, which is really interesting. I think so far, of the first 4 lords we've seen, or 5 if you include Alir, he's the first one to not get access to a new weapon. Wing Tamer uses tome and staff. Oh, this is actually really interesting. Yeah. So Wing Tamer uses tome and staff. And that's both Ivy and Hortensia. They share the weapon. They're both flying. The only difference is Ivy's is dragon, but she's not a dragon type. She's a wyvern type. So it's not the same like as you, who can engage with anyone for special effects. She's flying, not dragon for that, but she does fly on a dragon. Okay. They become Lindworm and Sleipnir Rider. I don't know what a Sleipnir is. But let's see. Because I have a feeling I have a feeling that, yeah, this isn't exactly gonna help. Oh, you know who would have something? Okay, yeah, Serenades Forest. I don't want to leak their whole article to you, but I do recommend checking them out if you want to see the actual pictures. I'm actually trying not to see most of them, which is why I'm not going to spend too much time on here. But I had to see what a Sleipnir was, and it seems to just be a Pegasus. I don't want to analyze like what the classes look like because that's kind of an exciting thing for me to learn. But she goes from Wing Tamer to Sleipnir Rider. Both seem to be Pegasi. Cool. Okay. I thought Sleipnir might be the thing from Fates that they ride. I forgot they called it in Fates too. But it's kind of not exactly a Pegasus, you know? If you played Fates, I think you might know what I mean. And I've injured myself. Anyway, I'm sorry. Alright. Sentinel is a class for Tamara and Fagato. Sentinel Tamara uses the lance, and she's a backup unit. She promotes into Picket. Picket does not sound as cool as Sentinel, but she is a lance. She is the infantry lance unit. She stays backup infantry. I love that. We don't get infantry lance a lot. Alright, Fagato uses the Cupido class, and he is on bows. Well, first off, he's on bows with Sentinel. Cavalry mounted unit. Cupido uses bows and swords. That's so cool to me. We have two bow lords in this game. One is the sniper type, but one is a mounted bow unit, and we've now had the whole spectrum. We've had mounted, flying, and horseback bow lords. Alright, and then Sadal is also a unique class as a dancer, and his weapon is body arts, so key adept martial artist dancer is really cool. Alright, the interesting thing here is, if you look at this bottom of this class list, Cavalier is weapon based. So basically Lance, Sword, and Axe Cavalier all upgrade into the Paladin or the Wolf Knight you can pick. But the Paladin can use all three weapons. And Wolf Knight can use all three weapons. In fact, some of the classes can use like 2 of the 3 weapons. But the way you promote, you have to get to level 20. But you also have to get to a high enough skill level at least 2 of the weapons. And then you can promote into Paladin. And see, their sword and Lance, Sword, and Axe Paladin. They all have the same. It's the same thing. It's just you need to get to a certain ability level, profession level. What's it called exactly with the weapons? Okay, Wolf Knights are the same way, but Wolf Knights gain access to the knife ability. They stay mounted. I'm guessing it's balanced through stats, swords, whatever they do, whether it's like stats or proficiency or what have you, to make it so that Paladin is almost as good as Wolf Knight. Obviously, sometimes things are just broken, but at least on the surface, they want them to be the same or equal. Alright, so Martial Monk is another base class, and it's a Staff and Bodyguard class that promotes to Martial Master and High Priest. Martial Master is more Fram, Staff and Body Arts, but better at it. High Priest is Tome, Staff, and Body Arts. So you're splitting your abilities, you're splitting your focus a little more, but you do get magic. Mage can become Sage or Mage Knight, and there's the cool thing. Sage, you go from Tome to Tome and Staff. But Mage Knight, you go from Tome to Tome and Physical Weapon, Lance, Sword, or Axe, based on what you choose to upgrade and what you choose to fight with. So for me, since Vander is an Axe Paladin, and Alir is a swordsman, I might make Clam use lances, just so I have all 3 in the base characters. Sword Fighter can become Swordmaster or Hero. Oh, actually, it's really interesting. The fighter classes have 3 different things, so they're all listed here together, but you have Sword Fighter, Lance Fighter, and Axe Fighter. Just a person with a weapon. But they become promotions of themselves. So for Sword Fighter, we'll have to jump around a little bit. Sword Fighter becomes Hero or Swordmaster. Hero now is not sword and axe like I thought it was. It's sword and lance. So you have a sword fighter trained in just swords to become a sword master, or in sword plus another weapon. So for me, sword and axe already belongs to Diamond, so I might make my first hero character use sword and lance instead. Although Anna, in a previous video I did say that Anna would be a wonderful hero because she uses axes. It's possible that we can reclass using second seals, but her main thing would actually be axe fighter. That does not build to hero. You need to have swords first and then axes. Kind of seems like there should be some split there. If you have swords and add axes and become a hero, why can't I have axes and add swords to become a hero? Kind of seems like a disconnect to me. That's okay. Anyway, sword master, really great with swords, great with crits and dodging. Hero, you have a secondary weapon. Alright. Lance fighters can either become halberdiers or royal knights. So halberdier, straight up lance. Infantry lance is not just Tamara now. It is back to, who we used it before? Nethany back in Fire Emblem 10 was the last time we had a straight up infantry lance class. Crom got it as a secondary weapon, Lucina did, and then Donnell's weapon was lance before he promoted when he was still a villager, and that's it. So it's a very underutilized class, lance infantry. So I'm gonna make, I don't know who yet, because I don't even know who's a lance fighter at the beginning, but I'm gonna make somebody a halberdier, and I'm gonna run this whole thing with them. Royal Knight also seemed good. Lance and Staff. Royal Knight sounds like everybody in, if you played Fire Emblem 3 Hopes, Azure Gleam, Sylvain, Gerald, who's not unique to that, but like Ash got his secondary in that class, I believe. You want Flame to try out that class at least once, and then I think I said Sylvain and Rodrigue. Anyway, point is, a lot of people use that class, Staff and Holy Magic. So it's its own class now. It's Royal Knight. Healing. It's actually very similar to Troubadour, but with lances. I think that's kind of what we're going with. Anyway, axe fighters, berserkers or warriors. So berserker, straight up axe hits, really, really strong axe attacks. Warrior adds the bow, and that's a class that I love, axes and bows. You're prepared for someone to get close up to you, but if they want to stay far back, you can still snipe them down. I'm very happy to see Warrior is back, and I think that's what I'm going to make Boucheron try out. It's too early to tell, but that's a class I'm excited for, and he's a character I'm excited for, so I think I'm going to push him in that direction. Alright, Archer. Archer can go into Sniper, bow to bow, but they can also become Bow Knight. And Bow Knight, again, sword, lance, or axe, based on your choice. Traditionally, it's bow and sword, and that kind of feels the most like a Bow Knight to me personally. But bow and lance feels like it might have some good implications, good times to use that. Especially because we already do have Legato, who's going to have bow and sword. The warrior has axe and bow, so Bow Knight with a lance is the one that we're missing so far, so that might be a good thing to keep in mind. Alright, lance flyer, sword flyer, and axe flyer. These are kind of like the cavalry units. They're flying units, they're female only, but all three of them are the same thing, right? It's just whether you use lance, swords, or axes. They are promoted to the same things, Wyvern Knight or Griffin Knight. Gotta say, I'm a little bit confused because we don't have Falcon Knights. Like, the Pegasus riders that promote and stay on their Pegasus are a thing of the past, except for Hortensia. Everyone's changing mounts. Pegasus are like the starting mount. They don't matter. And then you promote and you get a Griffin or a Wyvern. That said, Griffin and Wyvern Knight are both 3 weapons. The lance, the sword, and the axe. But for Griffin Knight, you add staves. So that's kind of your Falcon Knight. Weapon plus healing. And that's what I'm going to make Chloe, just because I'm so happy that Griffins are back. I thought Griffin Knights were axes in the first game, so it might be... I think Chloe uses lances, so I'll have her as a lance Griffin. Anyway, I think that they were axes in Awakening. But they have staffs now. Staves, whatever. Wyvern Knight doesn't have an axe variant because axe becomes their secondary weapon. So if you're already an axe flying unit, you have to train a secondary weapon somehow. But if you're using swords or lances, train up some axes and you can go into Wyvern Knight. So that's something to keep in mind. Alright, lance armor and axe armor and sword armor. Once again, armored classes, but based on what you want to have. You can become general and great knight. General, you just stick with your weapon, stick with your armor, just get really good at it and really good armor. It's like becoming a fortress almost. Great knight, you need to master 2 of the weapons, and any combination of the 2 works. So you can be sword and axe, sword and lance, or lance and axe. Start with your 1, pick your secondary, you get a horse, you have both weapons, and you go from there. So that gives us a lot of potential for our great knights. And oh, it looks like somebody already figured out one of the characters. They did put characters in like the class where they kind of belong, but unfortunately I can't make out who that is. I think it's Vander. Oh no, it's Bunet. So Bunet's a great knight and he uses swords and axes, so that class is covered by a character's preferred class. You can still change it. Alright, and then there's Thief, and Thief doesn't promote that we know of. It might later. So Thief uses knives. We so far don't have Assassin or Trickster. So like knife and staff and knife and maybe bow. So I feel like there might be a promotion to Thief, because it's not listed as, there's nothing that promotes into it, and it doesn't promote into anything. But we do have a preferred Thief, and it isn't an exclusive class, which means people can reclass into Thief. We have Zelkov already, as well as Yunaka, I believe. So I feel like there are some promotions we're missing, possibly, but that's not proven. There is going to be a DLC that includes new classes too, so maybe Thieves will get a promotion there, or maybe they're just going to be straight up brand new. But it's a little interesting to me to think that like there's not a Thief promotion in the game. Like if the game comes out and Thief, maybe it's a class that like the Lagoos do, or like the other beast classes before Fates did, where instead of going to level 20 you can go to level 40 in that one class, but you can't promote. Maybe that'll be Thief this time. I don't know if anyone has any word on it. I haven't heard anything. But that's what I got for y'all today. Thank you again for tuning in. I'm excited to play with these classes. I feel like this is going to add a lot of replayability, because I can just be like, you know what, last time around I needed a lance, so I'll be a lance great knight instead this time. Like there's a lot that can be done with this, and I'm gonna have at least one playthrough. Griffin Knight is female only this game. In Awakening I made Frederick reclass into it, which is a really bad choice, by the way, if you're going like lunatic mode or whatever. Bad decision. They're not a great class in that game, but I can't do that. They are female only. It doesn't say they're female only, but they promote from the female only flyer class, because Pegasus Knights can't be male. So maybe they'll put in a new flying class in DLC that can then promote men into Griffin Knights. Just because maybe Griffins will have the same lore, but Griffins and Wyverns don't traditionally have a preference of who's writing them. They don't need female writers only. So it kind of feels like it should be that the Pegasus flyers promote to Falcon Knights or these things, but then somehow other people can promote to them. I mean, that's just a personal opinion, but it seems a little strange to me that Griffin Knights can't come from male classes and Wyvern Knights can't be men. But it's a first. It's not like a horrible system necessarily. It's just surprising. I haven't wrapped my head around it yet. It feels off to me, but that's okay. Also, Wyvern Knight being a promoted class is also weird, because usually we have Wyvern Knight and Wyvern Lord, and so it kind of sucks losing Wyvern Lord, but Wyvern Knight starts off with 2 weapons instead of 1, so like it is a promoted class now. They did just change it for this game. It's really cool. I'm really hoping now that Griffin Knight's a class, we can get Chloe in. And the last thing I want to say today, before I stop filming, classes, when you change them, actually do change in your portrait. So when somebody's talking and they have that 3D portrait, if you're in a CGI cutscene, that's one thing. But if you're in dialogue with characters, first off, on the map, they'll have their new class, like it has been traditionally, but also their actual portrait. So it's not like they're changing armor between every stage. Like that really is going to help take me into the game so much more. If I have Chloe as a Griffin Knight, she will actually have the golden spikes on her shoulders and stuff. Like, they are actually paying attention to what class I put people in, and I love that. I'm really excited to see where that goes. And I mean, for this game, like, that's huge already. I don't need anything to come out. We've capped. I'm good. We're set. But yeah, that's all I've got to say about classes today. But thank you very much for your time. We're getting down to the wire. This game is coming out soon, and I cannot wait to talk to you guys about my thoughts, feelings, impressions, and eventually do some streams on it. So, thank you for tuning in, and until next time.